Welcome back to What Arty Noobs. This is a Bachatellion Bourrasque. It's a Tier 8 French premium medium tank. This one's located on the south spawn of Serene Coast, and it's under the command of Colonel Coyote. Now, we had him he actually submitted a replay of somebody else in a Bourrasque a while back, and we put the replay up on our site. This time round, he's in the Bourrasque. Now, as you know, this tank is a cross between two light tanks. It's actually the turret of an EDR-105 and the hull of a Batchat 12-ton. But combined, they actually make a medium tank in this case, and probably one of the most versatile auto-loading tanks in the game. I see more Bulls medals for this tank and the Progetto than any other tank in the game. It's just been spotted by the enemy. And it does move rather quickly, 62 kilometers an hour. It's got a 105mm gun, capable of doing 360 alpha, 2 shots. He's got his first one in. Second one goes into the UNIS, and he gets, well, he actually went into the 45 TP rather, and killed him. And now he's in reload. And the problem is his reload is 21 seconds, which is quite long, and he's just taken a hit from that UNIS. But he's going to be reloaded very, very shortly, and he's taking damage even from the enemy Arty whilst he's doing this, and I think he wants that enemy Arty. So he's getting close, and he's wiped out that GW Panther. Now he's going for the, and he's just killed the Lorraine 15550 as well, but sadly the Udas finally managed to get him, so he got a Piscucci's medal out of that one, and he spotted a lot of the enemy tanks in that almost death-defying run right up to the other end of the map. Our team certainly knows where all the enemy are, but, well, the good news is that the enemy team doesn't have any Arty now. The bad news is that Colonel Coyote is out of the game after that brief short run, so now we're following somebody else, and it's the AE Phase 1. I forgot to mention at the start of the game, this is a Tier 9 game with Tier 7 tanks in it. We're 2 up on the enemy now. Let's have a quick look over the AE Phase 1. The tank with 2 sets of tracks on either side, which is kind of unusual. Well, a bit of a forerunner, you might say, of the O-Tank, but in actual fact, the AE Phase 1 was a novel concept to have a tank which actually had sets of tracks so it could keep moving even if one set was blown off. And it's got a 120mm gun, if I remember correctly, for 400 alpha. We're not getting much out of this game with the AE Phase 1. Looks like most of the action's actually going on the other side of the battlefield. And because Captain Colonel Coyote actually moved up so rapidly that the enemy really wasn't prepared, and they're being overwhelmed on the other side of the battlefield. They've just lost the Cobra. And I think they're about to lose a Skoda T56 maybe as well, or a T25-2. There goes the T25-2, and there goes the Skoda. And that means now this team is well in a commanding position with 4 tanks up on the enemy. Unfortunately, we're not getting much from the AE Phase 1 though. I have the feeling that this guy is out of his class. This one, some players actually did get hold of Tier 9 tanks, but they really have no idea how to actually handle them, and therefore they play very, very conservatively. Which is precisely what we're getting with this one. He is pushing up now though, mainly because if he doesn't, he won't get any points out of this game. Well, the Object 430 is a bit more than the AE Phase 1 can chew, And he's been ammo-racked, he's been hit twice, and now he's in a terrible position, and he's going to get wiped out by the enemy if he's not careful. That Bourrasque will keep on around into him, and that'll be the end of the game. But the object for 430 has got distracted by the tortoise, allowing the A-Phase 1 to get back into cover. But there you go, he's gone. And that 430 is desperately trying to get away. But I think he's left it too late now, and his team are being compressed into the cap area. He's trying to defend this corner on the peninsula, but given the number of Colonel Coyote's team who are actually moving in on the enemy cap, I don't think he's got a hope in hell of stopping them. And even the Bourrasque's now come down to try and help, but I don't think that's going to work, because the Bourrasque doesn't have any armor, and therefore he's gone. So all the action's happening over by the cap area. Here we're following the tortoise. There's the Samoa, and the Shrek is getting in. He's obviously been involved in a lot of action because he's down on hit points. He's also got 3 marks of excellence, the Shrek. Decided to get involved in this action now. T-69 hiding, Super Hellcat trying to get at him. Nice big hit there on the Super Hellcat. Unfortunately, the Shrek, oh, he managed to get a second shot in time to avoid being killed. And they've wiped out all the enemy tanks on the peninsula, and now it's just 2 enemy tanks left, the 704, and the T-69 just died, so it's just the 704 now. Somewhere over where the Arty were. Shrek's trying to avoid getting killed, but he wants to get in the action. That's one in. Kill shot. Oh, missed it. And there's the kill shot that wins the game from the SMV CC56. Here's the end of battle results, and that was a third-class tanker for Colonel Coyote in the Bourrasque. He managed to get a Reaper badge because he took out consecutive enemies with consecutive shots. Yes, he took out the 45 PP, then he took out the GW Panther, and then the Lorraine, each with 1 shot, as well as the Spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage on the enemy, as well as a Master Gunner for getting 5 armor-penetrating shots in a row, a duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him, and a fire for effect for doing more damage to the hit points for his own vehicle. He also managed to get a Pascucci's medal because he took out the GW Panther, followed by the Lorraine in, well, consecutive shots, as I said. And he was very lucky to do that because I think the Lorraine must have got hit by somebody else, because I'm not sure he can actually take out a Lorraine 15550 with just 1 shot. But then he does have rather a large alpha, 360 hit points. So I suppose if he did get a high roll and the GW had already suffered some damage, then it was easy enough for him to get 3 consecutive shots off and take all of them out. Anyway, his win rate from the game was 1,854, which is very good, but his game was very brief indeed. And it was one of those... well, should we say suicide runs? I wouldn't particularly put it that way, but there is a certain player who is well known for making suicide runs into the enemy lines just to find out where all the enemy are. And on this occasion, Colonel Coyote found 8 of the enemy. He was the first one to spot 8 of them in one go. So one more and he would have ended up with the scout medal out of that game anyway. But yes, if you make these kind of suicidal runs into the enemy lines, your chances of surviving are very, very limited indeed. And that's what that other person became very well known for. And actually, I believe he actually got banned. I think you all know who I'm actually referring to, a certain lord, or somebody who calls themselves the Lord, but in actual fact, yes, they are a bit of an idiot, really, to be honest, because they throw the game by actually making his team 1 down. Even though his team know where everyone is, they are 1 down almost straight away from the start. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, actually, Colonel Coyote did rather well on hit points. The highest scorer in this game turned out to be the Object 430, who got 2,775. Not enough for a high caliber. The second highest damage went to the Skoda T56 on the enemy team, who got 2,522. And the third highest damage actually went to the Object 704, 2,288 hit points. So the first 3 highest on damage were on the enemy team, the one that lost. And yet, yes, it was Colonel Coyote's team who actually came off and won the game. And we can see that Colonel Coyote himself got 1,403 hit points of damage, and that means he was beaten by he beat all but 4 of the enemy team, and of course he was beaten by 5 members of his own team, which means he was in 10th place on damage. When it came to kills, though, he was top. He managed to get 3 kills, and so did the 45 TP on his team, as well as the Udas 03. And the reason they won the game, I tend to think, is because he took out the enemy Arty. And when the enemy Arty goes down, that normally takes away a lot of firepower all of a sudden. And it means that his team, the enemy team, didn't have any support. So there was nothing to help them to stop Colonel Coyote's team from winning the game. The second highest number of kills went to the Smur SM, the T20, and on the enemy team, their Object 430 and their T69. And when it came to base XP, we can see that, yes, in second place on base XP, the 45 TP managed 1,020, Colonel Coyote got 920, and the Smur SM got 827. So at least on 2 categories, he actually either got top or he got second place. Even though he didn't get a huge amount of damage. I think his effect was mainly to shock the enemy, make them turn around and take out their support, and that's why they won the game. Let's have a look at the detail. He only fired 4 shots, but every shot he fired hit the target and all of them penetrated. 105mm shells with 360 alpha. Yes, no wonder he did so much damage. 1,403, all of it done at close range. He received 4 hits from the enemy though, and 4 of those were penetration, and well, that's mainly down to the fact that the Bourrasque doesn't have much in the way of armour. The front of the hull is only 40mm, the sides and the rear are only 20, and the front of the turret is only 15mm, so just about any shell that hits this vehicle is going to go through. You also got 2 hits by way of splash damage, and both of them came from the enemy Arty as they were desperately trying to stay alive and moving as fast as they could to get out of dodge before he came after them. 8 enemy vehicles were spotted. It could have been a scout medal if he got 1 more. 3 enemy vehicles were damaged. 3 were destroyed. 2,769 hit points of spotting assist. He earned 88,370 credits from the game, and after repair, ammunition resupply took away 77,375 credits on a premium account. 25 bonds for mission achievement. 1,380 XP from the game. 5,520 for completing a mission, 138 for this being a premium vehicle, and took away 7,038 experience points altogether. So yes, I don't think I recommend doing this myself. I have done this a couple of times, I must admit, just to see what it was actually would do, but it nearly always comes off bad for whoever actually tries to scout directly into the enemy lines, because of course the enemy just turns around and chases after you, and they make sure you die very quickly. But normally in the process, it means that your team win because they know where all the enemy tanks are all of a sudden, and then they can take the appropriate actions to take those out from the best firing positions. And of course, you confuse the enemy because they're not expecting somebody to go directly into their lines and take out their Arty right at the start of a game. And once their support's gone, they're in deep trouble. So I hope you enjoyed that replay. Kind of brief, but it was interesting. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it beats the algorithm. And thank you for watching.